I decided to become a professional musician at the age of 12 after watching the Beatles perform on the Ed Sullivan Show. I know what it's like to have both physical and mental disabilities become roadblocks in the acquisition of my dreams.
I want to tell you a little bit about my background as it pertains to having a disability.
From the age of 12, I wanted to be a drummer. Unfortunately, I have coordination issues which stopped me from being able to play drums. I went through 11 different drum teachers before I found a gentleman by the name of Chuck Burrows, who ultimately taught me how to play drums. So my problem was being able to coordinate my right hand, my left hand, and my right foot. Basically, what I was challenged with is being able to do something like this. So, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. The first thing that I taught really was sailing, and then the second thing that I taught after that was kayaking. It was a number of years after that that I started teaching people music, and that came as a consequence of the fact that I was injured. And what happened there was I was carrying a refrigerator out of a building with a gentleman that I was working with, and he let his end go. And basically, if this is my head here, and these are my legs, this is a refrigerator, and basically what happened was that I went down a flight of stairs like this and slid across a landing and injured my back.
After my injury that occurred in this building, my life almost came to a full stop. The doctor that first examined me told me that if I wasn't as strong as I was, then I would have died in the accident. The injury, I worked out 5 days a week and bench pressed. I was able to bench press a little over 250 pounds. And now, as a result of my injury, I'm lucky if I can lift 20 pounds. I can't play hockey anymore. There's a hockey rink at the back of my parents' house. From the age of 5, I used to play hockey. If there's ice, I played hockey. I can't do that anymore. After my injury, I was no longer able to work on boats. As my savings were depleted, I started looking for a job that was not physically demanding. Finally, I was able to find a job working as a drum teacher. It wasn't long after I started teaching drums that I started having students that also had learning difficulties. I'm not the sort of teacher that can edit what I teach. If I felt that a student would benefit from my knowledge and experience dealing with learning issues, I would assist them to help them improve their marks at school. The first physically disabled student that I worked with was not able to grasp drumsticks with his hands. I modified a wrist protector used by inline skaters to enable him to hold the drumstick. Over time, I used the skills that I had acquired restoring boats and the knowledge gained taking the machinist program at Algonquin College to fashion adaptive equipment for disabled students.
I was doing volunteer work through Algonquin College and decided to pick hand drumming and found Chris Linden. And I started working with him. He wanted to do work with disabled children. So I showed him the laser harp, laser guitar, and various other instruments that could possibly work.
So from the start, I was financing all of the development that we were doing out of my own pocket. But one of the lasers, or one of the parts that we needed, was very, very expensive. I wanted to find a local supplier. So we came to Algonquin College and we spoke with Robert Weeks, the head of the photonics department, to find out where he got his equipment.
Well, it was a little accidental. I think you and I had some preliminary discussions, but I'd worked on an optical pickup for guitar, and that seemed to be an early step in developing something like a laser harp. And I think it just came naturally out of discussions that you and I had in an ad hoc meeting, essentially. And it's just developed from there.
It's essentially a high-powered laser down at the bottom. we have it shining off a mirror and then up through a diffraction grating, which essentially takes the single beam and splits it into 6 or 7 lower power beams. And then we have those beams going up to photoresistors, and essentially the photoresistors detect when there's light hitting them. And then we are able to take the voltage drop across those and send that to our controller board, which is an Arduino. And then the Arduino interprets that and sends a MIDI signal to the computer, which we interpret with Ableton Live or any other program like that, and basically turn that into a musical note.
Sweet nothings, they couldn't last. They were bound to feel like the colors of the past.
It is very difficult to become successful in the music business. The degree of difficulty is increased logarithmically when you have a severe disability. So when I found out that Justin Hines was coming to visit Algonquin College, I contacted Karen Coffey, who was organizing the event, and I requested that she ask Justin to come to the photonics lab to see the laser harp in operation.
The beam is split up down here. This is actually a blue laser, but we've used a green, very high power green laser, so you can actually see the beams a bit. It's a little more dangerous to work with from that point of view. So what this one will eventually just have power levels that are eye safe. It'll be like 2 milli. If you can get in a bit to it there. We haven't got it brilliantly well set up, and one of the problems is that
touching this one doesn't do anything.
That's right. Yeah, we haven't had anything this good.
That's wild. That is way too cool. I love it. That is wild. That's awesome. Very innovative, guys. It's revolutionary, actually.
Thank you.
It's pretty incredible. It's funny because growing up, I always wanted to play the guitar, but I had obviously limitations. So piano was kind of my default, but it'd be amazing. That'd be amazing. I'm in. Count me in.
That's right. Thanks so much.
The harp is still a work in progress. We hope to have an operational model by 2012. Music self-played is happiness self-made. And as long as I have a breath, I'm going to assist those people that have never had the opportunity to make music. So this has not been an easy documentary for us. We originally started out with the idea that we were going to work with the deaf community, and then we had challenges finding somebody that could translate American Sign Language. So halfway through the project, we changed topics and decided we would work on the laser harp project. Did all the filming. We filmed at Algonquin College. We filmed at Nepean Creative Arts Center. We filmed a number of people. And then we lost the hard drive. It was stolen. And of course, there was only David and I that were doing the documentary. David took on the role of being a sound man, a cameraman, lifting because I have a bad back, can't lift anymore. I took on the role of being the interviewer, the interviewee. That was a challenge, no doubt about it. Interviewing yourself is not an easy process.